Yes, folks, the WHO's Dr. Mike Ryan, aka Dr. Mengler, wants to take sick children away from their parents. And I'll get to him and others in a moment, but first I want to discuss a couple of questionable things that are going on here in New Zealand at the moment. And the first is this: why are we having roadblocks for the Easter holiday break now, when the Easter holiday break really began 2 weeks ago with the lockdown? And I can tell you this for a fact: most of the people that are trying to stop coming here are already here. Now, I live in a tourist town, and people have been coming down here for the past 2 weeks under the cover of darkness. So these roadblocks, these present roadblocks, are pointless. And the second is this: why is the government wasting nearly $90 million on computers, internet connection, and other educational material when the lockdown is supposed to end in 2 weeks? Especially when the kids are learning nothing at school anyway, except for the really important stuff like racism and climate change and transgender issues, etc. Well, there are two possible reasons for this. One, vote buying, and two, they are preparing for a very, very long lockdown. Now, folks, just have a look at how much money they are wasting right now. Coronavirus. Government doubles borrowing forecast as economy worsens. The government will now borrow $25 billion in the 2019-2020 financial year, up from a forecast of $13 billion released just a fortnight ago. Treasury updated its borrowing forecast on Wednesday morning, telling the market it would borrow an additional $12 billion before the financial year ends in June. It also warned that this could increase should the economic situation worsen. The government also passed a law before the lockdown allowing itself to spend $52 billion more than it budgeted ahead of its next budget, which will be delivered in May. Wow, allowing itself to spend $52 billion more. Now, what's going to happen now if we have another earthquake like we had in Christchurch? Now, folks, all of the stupidity could have been avoided if our dear leader had have closed the border properly from the outset, when the problems in Italy were patently obvious for everyone to see. If she had acted promptly, a lockdown wouldn't have been necessary at all. And now we're stuck with generations of debt. Anyway, now to Dr. Mengler, or should I say Dr. Ryan.
And at the moment, in most parts of the world, due to lockdown, most of the transmission that's actually happening in many countries now is happening in the household, at family level. In some senses, transmission has been taken off the streets and pushed back into family units.
Which you and your communist cronies caused by covering up for China in the first place.
Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner.
Wow. Now, after you, Dr. Mengler, forced these families into isolation, you now have the audacity to rip these children away from their parents. and put them in state control. Whew. And Doctor, I would just like to see you try that with Maori and Aborigines in the current political environment. Even your own lefties would turn against you. But don't worry, folks. Trump's got their number.
Peter Navarro. Peter, thank you very much for being with us this evening. I want to start. Good to have you, sir. I want to start with asking you a little bit about the WHO. Should the United States not be part of this organization anymore? Should we cut off funding? The president just outlined the huge disparity between the money that we put into it and the money that China puts into it.
Yeah, Martha, let me give you a kind of bigger look at the chessboard here, because the UN itself has 15 specialized agencies, including the WHO, the World Intellectual Property Organization, things like that. And what China has been doing very, very aggressively over the last decade is to try to gain control of those by electing people to the top. It already controls 5 of the 15, and also by using proxies, colonial-type proxies like Tedros at the WHO. And as you can see in this crisis, the damage that kind of control by China of a key health organization has been just absolutely enormous.
Yes. Now, folks, some preliminary research has just come out from the University of Southampton, which suggests that China could have prevented 95% of the current coronavirus cases. Now, I've posted a link to that article in the description below.
They suppressed the human-to-human transmission. They refused to call this a pandemic. They basically discouraged travel bans. So, I mean, this is one of the most serious things we've ever seen, and it all tracks to China's view of the world and how they want to control different types of international organizations, even as they don't play by the international rules. So it's going to be up to the president to look at this. But Martha, this is a really serious issue, and the president is absolutely right about this.
Yes, and of course, China's puppet, Tedros Adhanom, is bleating about this.
I will suggest 2 things to the world. Number 1, at national level, we should be able to work across party lines, across phases, across other differences that we have, across ideology. When there is a crack at the national level, between political parties, between religious groups, or between other groups, that's when the virus gets a crack that it can exploit.
Which you created by covering up for China.
And defeat us. So number 1 is the national unity, working across party lines. I was a politician.
And you still are a politician. You're a politician for the Chinese Communist Party.
I know how difficult this could be. I know it. Although it's difficult, it's the right thing to do. At the end of the day, the people belongs to all political parties. The focus of all political parties should be to save their people. Please don't politicize this virus. It exploits the differences you have at the national level. If you want to be exploited, and if you want to have many more body bags, then you do it. If you don't want many more body bags, then you refrain from politicizing it.
Wow. That's almost a threat, isn't it? Will China create another virus in one of its labs, perhaps? Is that what he's saying?
My short message is, please quarantine politicizing COVID.
And now, of course, he plays the race card.
I can tell you personal attacks that has been going on for more than 2-3 months. Abuses, or racist comments, giving me names, black or negro. I'm proud of being black or proud of being negro, because that negro is black, black is black, and I'm proud. I don't care, to be honest.
So if you're so comfortable in your skin, why are you playing the race card? Ah, yes, because that's the tried and true defense of the communist left. Yes, folks, Trump appears to have this WHO, UN, China cabal very worried indeed. Now, major companies in Japan, Korea and around the world have already pulled out of China because of the US-China trade war. And now the world is beginning to see the true side of China and its tentacles into the UN. So just maybe the dominoes will begin to fall even faster now. And we can only hope Australia and New Zealand see the light.